Bruce Lee was on the ground, not standing, not fighting, not legendary. Broken. 3 men stood over him, a wall behind him, no escape ahead. And it had taken just 8 seconds. 8 seconds that didn't just knock him down, they rewrote the future of martial arts forever. But here's the question. How does a man who would later become unstoppable get destroyed in under 10 seconds? To understand that, we have to go back. 1963 Hong Kong. Before the fame, before the philosophy, before the legend. Back when Bruce Lee was just a skinny 17-year-old kid walking alone with a book in his hand and glasses on his face, looking more like a scholar than a fighter. That morning started like any other. The sun hadn't fully risen yet when Bruce stepped out quietly, leaving his house while the city still slept. His shoes were worn, his movements light, almost invisible. He made his way to the waterfront at Victoria Harbor. There, with the sea wind hitting his face, he trained. Kick after kick, balance after balance, left leg up, hold, control. Right leg up, steady, breathe. The movements were precise, but something was missing. Something he wouldn't understand until it was too late. An hour later, he returned home, ate quickly, and prepared for a task given by his teacher. A letter, a simple delivery, sealed in a cream-colored envelope, tucked carefully into his shirt. It seemed like nothing, but that letter would unknowingly lead him straight into the most important defeat of his life. He stepped onto a bus, sat by the window, and watched Hong Kong wake up. Shops opening, people rushing, the city alive with rhythm. Half an hour later, he stepped off in Kowloon. His destination, a martial arts studio. But instead of going straight there, he took a shortcut. A narrow alley. Quiet, too quiet. And that decision changed everything. At first glance, the alley looked dead. No movement, no noise, just damp stone, hanging clotheslines, and the smell of rain-soaked dirt mixed with sewage. Bruce walked in calmly, book open, eyes locked on the pages. Be like water, he whispered the words to himself. Flow, adapt, don't resist. Philosophy filled his mind, but reality was waiting just a few steps ahead. At the far end of the alley, 5 men sat, smoking, laughing, playing cards. Not ordinary men, a street gang. Bruised knuckles, fresh cuts, angry eyes. They had already fought that morning and lost, and now they needed someone else to win against. Then they saw him, a skinny kid, glasses, book, ignoring their existence. That wasn't normal. That was disrespect. One of them stood up. Wang, 22 years old, broad shoulders, a scar running down his face like a permanent reminder of violence. He didn't speak. He just walked forward, slow. Heavy steps echoing against the stone. The others followed, spreading out, forming a silent trap. By the time Bruce looked up, it was already too late. 3 men, 1 in front, 2 on the sides, a perfect triangle. No escape. The air changed. Doors shut. Curtains moved. People disappeared. Everyone knew the rule of that street. If trouble starts, you don't get involved. Bruce closed his book, slowly, lifted his head. No fear, no anger, just stillness. And that stillness made things worse. Wang stopped just a few steps away. "Who are you?" he asked. Bruce didn't answer. He just watched, calm, silent, observing. That was the first mistake. Because in that world, silence wasn't wisdom. It was a challenge. "Take off your glasses," Wang said. "A test. Obey and you're weak. Refuse and you fight." Bruce raised his hand, slow, controlled. He removed the glasses, placed them in his pocket, then gently set his book on the ground. Not surrender, preparation. Wang's eyes narrowed. This kid wasn't reacting the way he should. No begging, no panic, just readiness. "You can't pass here," Wang said. "This is our street." Silence again. Bruce stood still, but his fingers curled slightly. His body was changing. Something inside him was waking up. "Kneel," Wang said. "Apologize. Kiss my shoes." Laughter exploded behind him. A public humiliation. A test of dominance. Bruce looked at him and finally spoke. "No." One word. Quiet. But it hit harder than any punch. Wang's face twisted with rage. "What did you say?" Bruce didn't raise his voice. "I don't kneel to anyone." That was it. That was the moment the fight became inevitable. Wang stepped closer, faces inches apart. "You're going to regret that." Bruce didn't move, didn't step back, didn't attack. And that was his second mistake. Because he believed in timing, in control, in waiting for the perfect moment. But the street doesn't wait. It happened instantly. No warning, no rhythm, no rules. The man on the right moved first. A straight punch to Bruce's face. Bruce reacted, dodged slightly, but his foot slipped just a little. That was enough. From the left, a kick exploded into his body. He blocked, but the force shook him. Before he could recover, Wong stepped in. A punch from the side connected. Pain burst across his jaw. 3 seconds. Bruce staggered back, hit the wall. No space, no escape. They came together now. Punches, kicks, chaos. Bruce tried to block, tried to respond, but everything was too fast, too messy, too real. This wasn't training. This was survival. A punch cracked against his forehead. His vision blurred. 7 seconds. His legs gave out. His body collapsed. He hit the ground hard. Wong stepped forward and kicked him. 8 seconds. That was it. The fight was over. Bruce lay there, breathing broken, vision spinning, blood in his mouth. His glasses shattered. His shirt torn. Everything he thought he knew destroyed in less than 10 seconds. And the worst part? He realized it himself. He wasn't ready. The gang walked away laughing. Victory was theirs. But they didn't understand something. They hadn't ended a fight. They had started a transformation. Bruce stayed on the ground, not because he couldn't move, but because something inside him had broken. Not his body, his belief. All that training, all that discipline, all that theory, useless in real violence. An old man helped him up. A woman wiped the blood from his face. "Go home," she said softly. But Bruce already knew he wasn't going home the same person. That night, he didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, replaying every second, every mistake, every failure. And then it hit him. He didn't lose because he was weak. He lost because he wasn't prepared for reality. Technique wasn't enough. Forms weren't enough. Philosophy weren't enough. Real fighting was chaos, speed, brutality, unpredictability. And in that chaos, he had failed. But instead of breaking, he made a decision, a dangerous one. I will never lose like this again. The next day, he went to his teacher. "I lost," he said. His teacher looked at him and nodded. "Good," he replied. "Now you're ready to learn." And from that moment, Bruce Lee stopped training like a student and started training like a fighter. Years later, the world would call him a legend. But the truth, that legend was born in an alley in 8 brutal seconds. And here's the real question. What if he had won that day? He might have stayed the same, and the world would have never known Bruce Lee.